Welcome, assalamu alaikum. We're talking now, inshallah, to Brother Zaid Hamid, live from Pakistan, from the organization called Proxy, and it is a private and independent Pakistani think tank and defense analysis consulting group, and they specialize basically in groundbreaking, cutting-edge research on the regional and international political, economic and national security issues as well. And they are devoted, mashallah, to providing thought leadership to the country at this crucial juncture in the history of Pakistan. All right, we'd like to welcome Brother Zaid Hamid on board Radio Islam. Zaid, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to you.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, brother. Ahlan wa sahlan, mashallah. Salam from all Pakistan to you.
Jazakumullah, my brother. Wonderful talking to you. Let's take it further, Brother Zaid. G.K. Pillai, India's Home Secretary, said yesterday that the perpetrators of the Mumbai attacks were clients and creations of the Inter-Services Intelligence, the ISA agency of the Pakistani Army. Zaid, how did they come to that conclusion?
This is, in fact, a mystery that nobody in the world has ever seen any evidence. In no court of the world, any evidence has been produced. And ever since the Mumbai incidents, the Indians have been putting allegations on ISI and Jamaat al-Da'wah in Pakistan and on the security establishment of Pakistan. But all the indications have so far been directed towards the fact that there have been an internal job from the Indian security establishment, the murder of the police officer Kurkure, and the involvement of Colonel Prohit, the Indian military intelligence officer who was involved in internal terrorism in India, and even that was blamed on ISI. But later on it was discovered that Indian extremists, in line with the Indian intelligence officials like Colonel Prohit, who is in jail right now, and these elements were involved in orchestrating violence which was blamed on Pakistan. So the track record of Indians is absolutely pathetic in this aspect, that they have never been able to prove any linkages from Pakistan or from the Pakistani intelligence agencies. And the fact is that since Mumbai, Indians have been constantly trying to hammer this concept to the global audience as well, but they have not received any recipients. The Americans, the British, and the international agencies which were involved in the Mumbai incident have not come up with this conclusion which the Indian establishment has. And it has no substance, it's absolutely baseless, it's absolutely disinformation war, part of the propaganda campaign against Pakistan and Pakistani security establishments.
All right, Brother Zaid, Jazakumullah. And I think very correctly, as you are saying, that they are trying, the Indian government, they're trying to echo their baseless statements throughout the world, but no recipients to that. Why is it that every time a step forward is taken for peace between India and Pakistan, it is usually followed by 2 or 3 steps back, Zaid?
The fact is, you see, Habibi, that India have a massive internal security nightmare crisis at their hands. The Naxalites, the Maoists, from Tamil Nadu in the north to Tamil Nadu in the south to Naxalbari in the north and Bengal border, 40% of Indian Federation is now under insurgencies of the Maoists. That's the only place in India where the communists are actually gaining ground. And all the Indian technology centers of Orissa and Bengal and Bangalore now come under the insurgency hit areas. And the pressure on the Indian establishment of the government is so intense to handle the internal security threat of the Naxalites, the 7 sister states in the northeast, that they have to find a scapegoat to put allegations on someone. And the fact is, you see, that Americans have been trying to push Indians to come to a talk with Pakistan over Kashmir, because the Americans feel that if the Kashmir dispute can be resolved, Pakistan can be forced to divert its attention and forces towards the Afghan border. So that's why you find that Richard Holbrooke, who came to this region under the new doctrine of AFPAC, Afghanistan, Pakistan, that also had Kashmir on its agenda. So Indians have come on the dialogue table, but they are reluctant. They're not willing. There's no pressure on the Indians as such, because they don't want to do the American bidding as well, despite the fact that they are selling the Americans the concept that they can be the strategic ally or strategic partners for the Americans in the 21st century against Islamic extremism, in quotes, from Pakistan and the Chinese expansion. So while Indians take everything they need from the Americans, they are not willing to give an inch even to the Americans. So with no pressure on the Indians, there is absolutely no reason for Indians to give any concession over Kashmir or the water disputes that are emerging now between Pakistan and India. So naturally, the Indian establishment, while they come to talk on the surface, on the PSYOPs front, on the front of the psychological operation and warfare, they create this perception globally, or try to create it, that Pakistan is involved in terrorism, and unless Pakistan stops terrorism, there cannot be any dialogue. That's a face-saving exit strategy for them. In reality, the fact that the Indians are blocking Pakistani waters, Pakistani rivers, all rivers flow from Kashmir, and Indians are now blocking them. And whether anybody likes it or not, in the coming years, there's going to be a major war between Pakistan and India, not probably on politics, not probably on Kashmir, not probably on Mumbai or any terrorist act in India, but on water. And that seems inevitable now.
All right, Jazakumullah. What is your view, Brother Zaid, on the theory that Mossad and the CIA have plans to balkanize Pakistan? What is meant by this?
Habibi, that's not a theory anymore. You see, the thing is, whenever you come up, whenever you expose their secret game plans for the region, they try to discredit it by saying it's a conspiracy theory. You see, in the First World War, now we see in the perspective, they broke the Muslim world. They broke one Khilafah al-Islamiyah, and they broke Muslim world into 57 countries. And those maps were drawn after the First World War. And after 100 years now, nearly about 90 years from that time, the balkanization of the Muslim world had taken place about 90 years ago, they want to redraw the maps. And we are seeing this war happening like the three wars that have happened in the last 15 years. One of them, for example, that took place, that was in Europe. That was the balkanization of Yugoslavia, where they balkanized Yugoslavia into 5 or 6 countries. And that was the blueprint which they decided to apply post 9/11 in the Muslim world. Iraq, for example, you can see it now that Kurdistan has almost been separated. Shia region in the south, Sunni region in the middle, and Baghdad as a city-state. Iraq, for all practical purposes, has been balkanized. Afghanistan, now they are blatantly coming up with the idea that we should divide Afghanistan on the Lebanon option. Lebanon option means the one segment to be controlled by, for example, in Lebanon it was controlled by Hezbollah, and the central government is controlled by somebody else. So they are saying the Pashtun regions of Mullah Umar and Taliban should be broken away from Afghanistan, given semi-autonomous state, and the rest of the Kabul and northern areas should be controlled by the Americans and the NATO. Now, similarly, the same game plan they have for Pakistan, the support to the insurgencies, the breakdown of the law and order, the breakdown of the economic system through the IMF policies, blocking of Pakistani water, creating an agriculture and food crisis, and then a massive disinformation war that Pakistan is breaking apart. Pakistan is a failed state, it's a failing state, its nuclear weapons are falling into the hands of the enemies, terrorists, for example. So these kind of massive, this is called the 4th generation war, in which you break up a country, you divide a country, not through a high-intensity war, but through small, low-intensity conflicts on various axes. Either ideological, either political, either economic, or support to the insurgent groups like in Balochistan and in the tribal areas. So this is not a theory, it's not a conspiracy, it's a war plan in operation already, it's in the advanced stages.